Welcome to the July 9th edition of Speaker Co-working. I always have to look over in the corner to remember what day it is because all of my days look the same. Um, I'm Ron Story. I'm the owner of Speaker Hub, and this is where we talk about how to get you all booked on more stages, answer your questions, and try to get you paid more as a business owner that uses speaking as a way to grow your business. We usually start off with wins. I see Kathy has joined us today, which is good. It's always good to see Kathy. Um, and any wins since yesterday? All right. Well, I can start with the win. Um, as an update with the new Speaker Hub profiles, we have successfully migrated 65,000 people over from the old system into the new one without any major issues. There are some issues, but no major issues. Um, we have finalized some decisions on compliance and what we will do around payments and compliance with payments and things of that sort. One of the biggest challenges is with us having out of our 65,000 users, over 40,000 people are outside of the United States. So there are only about 25,000 speakers in the US on Speaker Hub, which means that people, if we start offering courses and products and services, those people will be buying those courses, products, and services from other countries, which causes a huge tax compliant issue for everybody who sells a course because someone in Botswana buys your course, you are required to pay the taxes in Botswana or Slovakia or wherever it may be, Belgium. They all have their digital taxes that they put on products and services that are served there. What we're looking at is how do we simplify that for you guys so that you don't have to worry about getting a tax bill from 18 different countries or figuring out how to file because that if you're not making a lot, that filing process could eat up most of your revenue just to have someone who speaks the language to file that tax in that country, right? So we're looking at our options with Stripe. Stripe does have an automatic tax remission option where if something is sold in a particular country, that if you're using your own Stripe account, you can use Stripe services to capture that tax and remit that tax for you. But also, we're looking at potentially being the vendor of record ourselves so that we will capture all of that and pay the taxes. And then you all will just get paid out through us. So we're trying to decide what makes the most sense compliance wise. Because goal number one is to make it easy for you guys. If it's going to be complicated, you're not going to sell anything. You're not going to want to promote anything. But if we can make it easy for us to handle a lot of that on the backside, we're willing to do it as long as it's not costing us, you know, thousands of dollars every year in the red in order to be able to make those filings. Does that make sense? So that's part of the delay. It's not as easy as I thought it would be, but it's part of the deal. I mean, something that I'm very familiar with, considering that we dealt with a lot of this with when we purchased Speaker Hub because Speaker Hub wasn't originally located in the United States. We purchased the company from a group out of Belgium, which had their own Stripe accounts, their own UE issues, so forth and so on, that we had to learn to deal with. So I do have some experience in that area. I'm just trying to avoid y'all from going through the BS I went through. Oh man, that was a terrible deal. We couldn't accept payments for 45 days at one point. But we just never complained about it. We just kept going. But if I can help you all to avoid some of those compliance issues, then I will. The goal is to run a profitable business, not only for us, but for you guys. And if most of your revenue is going to get eaten up by for paying for tax compliance because someone in the UK decided to buy your course for $15 and it's going to cost you $75 to file that tax thing, that's kind of stupid. Hopefully that makes sense, and I appreciate your patience for those who are lifetime members. Um, and we see other companies are going through this right now, and I'll kind of show you an example of how they're dealing with it. And even though they won't publicly say this is how they're doing it, I know because of doing this, this is why these things come into place. So if we look at, and this, I'm just going here because it's an easy way for me to show it. Um, if we look at school, and for compliance reasons, I'll say all of these are assumptions. But if we look down at the bottom, school introduced a 9%, a $9 course, but a $9 product, but they're taking a 10% transaction fee. And the reason that they're taking that 10% transaction fee, because if they have global customers, they have to be the vendor of record to file all of the taxes for those people. And they need to have a fee that covers that payment. If you look at Discord, they take 16%, Patreon takes 14%, WAP takes 13, Circle 7, blah, blah, blah. And our favorite, which is YouTube subscription rev share is I think 30%, right? Yeah. So YouTube takes 30%. You don't pay an upfront fee to cover that, but YouTube takes 30%. Where these other companies, what they're doing is that they take an upfront fee and then they whatever's over that they usually take a percentage, right? So I don't for our lifetime members, I don't think you have to worry about that. But for folks who aren't on lifetime, we have to figure out some type of fee if we're going to end up being the vendor of record to cover the tax compliance, because that's or you can do it yourself, right? We can just say, hey, go ahead and do it yourself, and you'll be upside down. But it's better if we work as a group on this, if that makes sense. If I can take it all and file once for everybody, that's a lot cheaper than 20,000 people paying individually to file. But just letting you all know some of the executive decisions that I'm making currently that you may have to make in the future. Um, Also, the other thing is, how do you distribute 65,000 W-2s and whatever the thing, W-9s and all of that stuff from sales, 1099 or whatever it's called. I can't remember which one, but all of these things come into play because they all cost for each one. So we'll be solving that, and we'll keep you all posted. But that's really the holdup right now is the tax compliance side. Everything else is pretty much, I'm confident I could turn on sometime this week and it would run. But once we take one payment, dun dun dun, tax compliance comes in. So we got to figure that part out. But any wins since yesterday? Good to see you, Nicole Fox. We'll let you introduce yourself in about 10 seconds if we don't have any other wins or comments on, um, you know, the progress that people have made. No? All right, cool. Nicole, did she disappear? She left. Okay. I guess Nicole was like, no, I don't want to introduce myself. I'm leaving. So, uh, but all right. Any thoughts since our conversation yesterday? Any new thoughts based on what we talked about? Anybody do the homework? No. Nope. Yeah.
I missed yesterday. What's
Okay. So before we go into that, let me see what Kathy, what's your question? And then I'll just sum it up for everybody on the other part.
Yeah. So I know that when we hit the customization for our responses to the different organizers, and we choose our tone, it's all AI driven and it's machine learning. So you have to do frequent reps to get it to kind of learn. And I'm wondering, I spent a lot of time editing the AI generated stuff that I get just so that it fits with my tone and all that stuff. And I'm wondering if there's a way to fast track that or
Yeah.
like,
So
is there a
here's
way?
one of
Because,
the
yeah,
so in general, the email follows a format, and the format is one that I'll share with you because I share it with everybody.
yeah.
Um, so here's the email format that's followed. And what we found is, all right, so let me back up a bit. Let me stop this. Do you all know why we put AI in? What was the whole reason for using AI?
To
You
simplify the
know what came of
process.
it?
Yeah, it wasn't to outsmart anybody. It was to encourage those who didn't know what to say to give them something to say,
Yeah.
right? Do I think that AI is a better copywriter than me? No, not at all. I mean, because I've sent so many emails. Like
Yeah.
AI is using a bunch of similarity search or word combinations
Mhm.
that, and if you criticize it, it'll change it. It'll tell you this is the best. You're like, man, that sucks. It's like, okay, well, let me do it again. Well, I thought you said that was the best. So if you're mean to AI, it will actually change its mind, right? So do I think it's better than us writing as a human? No. But why did we implement that? Because having a blank screen was even worse. Nobody pitched when we just gave them a blank screen. The first iteration was a blank screen of in PitchDB or whatever in the software, and then we gave you all templates, and then
Hmm.
they said I need templates, and then we put the templates, and they says, well, I don't want to send a template because everybody's sending the same template, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't solve it. So then when OpenAI became publicly available, we took the work we had been doing privately in OpenAI and we made it available to you all inside of the app. And then people say, well, I don't like how AI sounds. And I'm like, well, we can't win. So here's
Yeah.
what the pros do. The pros get familiar with pitching, they find out what's working, and then they write a template.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you look at, and he doesn't come to the calls as much, but Bart Womack was a great example of this. Bart said, no, I learned to pitch because I wasn't that good at pitching. And then I started to see the things that I liked in the emails and what people were responding to. And then I wrote my own email and I turned off the AI, right? And Bart's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing already. He don't even come to the calls anymore. He pop in once a month and it'll just stay in the back of the room like a ghost, make two comments, and disappear for 2 months. I'm okay with that. Why?
Yeah.
Because Bart is at that level in his speaking. He doesn't need a lot of the conversations we're having now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally. I think you hit it on the head. And I realized that I started creating my own templates because, and I get it. AI is supposed to save time and it learns. The more you do it, the better it will get. And I realized that I was working against myself. I don't know if anyone else felt that way. I was doing too much customization and I was like, that just kills you because it slows you down. So I
Yep.
think the template, I think you're 100% right, Ron. It's just
So,
creating a template that works for you. Yeah.
yep. And let me show you. I'm going to give you the
Yeah.
format
Yeah.
that I've used to book more meetings than anybody else I know. Right.
Thank you. This is great.
Right. So the first thing you want to do is to tell them how you got the information. I was searching online and I found whatever event. I was searching online and I saw you were the director of such and such at this company, right? So just be straight up because that's the question we're all asking, which is how'd you get my information? So just tell them, I saw this event online. I got your information off the website, right? You were searching online. Were you searching online? Yeah. You weren't searching in Google. You were searching online in Speaker Hub. It's not a lie. It is the truth. You did find their information online, right? Get to the point about what you want. Are you still looking for speakers for this event? Are you still looking for podcast guests for your podcast? Are you still looking for whatever it might be? Does that make sense? Why do you
Yep.
want to do that? Because they don't know you. So going through your whole background, they didn't ask to hear your background. So why even put all that crap in there? Right? Tell them the value you bring. I was wondering if you were still looking for speakers for this event. The reason I ask is I talk on this topic. I've done this thing. Is this worth a call? That's the email. It's not, hey, I'm Ron Story. I'm the owner of Speaker Hub, and I've done this and I've done that. Well, how does that benefit me? I don't even care about that.
Right.
So
Right.
tell me how it benefits me at first. Answer the questions that are in my mind. Who are you? What do you want? How does this benefit me? What's the next step? Is that fair?
Amen. Yes.
So if you look at the let's go back here. If you look at the emails that are written inside of Speaker Hub here, if I go to an email in my mailbox and I'm going to reach out to this podcaster, what? Let me make sure I'm in my account. My emails got disconnected. How? Who the heck kicked me off? I don't know how I get kicked out of my own system, but hey,
You didn't
happens.
pay your bill. You didn't pay your
I
bill
mean,
this month.
it's a free Gmail, free 99 is a real thing, I guess. So, like, is this the email I would send? No, I wouldn't. But some people want longer emails.
Yeah.
The email I would send would be short as mug. It would be like very quick and to the point. So let's see what that looks like. And it should follow that format because that's what we're using. That's whatever. Okay. Yeah, this ain't working. Like that ain't what I would put in there. Ange, can you put it, Maria, can we make sure, I know Maria's on here, but the updates that we did, I sent the video about this last week. This is not a short email.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to get Carlos to fix this. All right. So that should be shorter, right?
Yeah.
But what I would do is I would go in here into templates. I would create a new template. And then I would put the person's contact name. Boom. Right. I was searching online and I found boom. Right. So now these are autocompletes. They didn't used to be autocomplete. In April, we added autocomplete to the template so that it automatically fills in the stuff. Right. Boom. How do I help? I help such and such to do this. You see what I mean? Right.
Totally makes sense. And I had the same issue as like I'd ask for a short email and I'd get like paragraphs. I was like, yeah. But a template makes so much sense. Thank you. Make your own template. Yes, yes, yes.
Now we call that a false time constraint. I believe that anybody has 4 to 5 minutes, right? If we end up talking longer, it's because they took up more time responding to me. But I can tell you what I need in 2 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So there it is. So let's go there, and I'm gonna put quick question or something like that about the event name. And what you do is you take this and you put it up there, and it should fill it in. Boom. Demo Kathy. Right? So now I create that template. Boom.
Yes.
When I go in and I want to start using my templates and I'm done with the AI, come over to your branding kit and turn it off so that we're not just wasting money generating an AI, and it saves you about 15 seconds on each pitch.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Thank
Right?
you.
So you
Yeah.
can turn that off there. Now, when I go into mailbox and I want to reach out to Ritu, I can just click and put in my Kathy demo. Right? So you see how it automatically put in the women of power thing?
Yes.
Right? Now, it didn't put in the full name for some reason because I don't know why, but that's an easy edit that I'm not too lazy to do. Right? I can do that on my own. And it also substituted in what I did. That's why we tell you to get that thing down to 1 to 2 sentences. I help entrepreneurs to grow their businesses with podcast interviews, blah, blah, blah. Are you open to a quick call? Right? Very straight to the point. That's why we had you all fill out those things and get to the point, because I knew we would eventually use them as variable substitutions in emails that go out.
This is great. This is really helpful. Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So whatever template you use, you can use those variables. They should be able to help you and make it go a lot faster. You notice there was no waiting for the 20 seconds for all of that. You can just turn it off and go from there. Got it?
Yes, thank you. That's very helpful.
Yep. No problem at all. Any other questions? Kathy's one of our lifetime members that comes in and out every 2 months or so whenever she has a tech issue, which is good.
Yeah,
This
when
is
I get time, I love y'all. It depends on my schedule, you know?
Yeah, no, you got work to do. You should be
Yeah.
doing it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Do the work.
That's
Um,
it, Ron. Always
yep.
appreciate this. Always.
100%. Camille, what's up?
Hi, everybody. I have a question on setting up the course itself, and I wonder, is that functionality available to us now? And if so, where do I find that?
Yep. So, did you set up the new profile in Speaker Hub? Here.
.co?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So when you go into this page here, right? And let me see if I go to speakers. All right. So I see Camille is here. Right. So that's your page. You got to put your photo up.
Okay.
You're missing a photo. But yeah, your ability to make courses is there, right? It's right over here on the side. You see it says product dashboard.
Hmm.
When you click there, it's going to bring you into a page that looks like this. And it's going to ask you to
Add product.
add your product.
That's where it is. Okay.
See that?
Okay.
Once you click there, you're ready to go. If you don't know what these represent, if you click the thing at the top, it opens it up and tells you what it does.
Mm-hmm. So speaker launch, are those two?
Yeah, that's just where we hid the domain while we were doing demos and testing.
Okay.
So that's just the domain that we used. And then this .co will go away and it'll become .com. So it's just the iteration of how closer we are, right?
Okay.
You know how they say, like, everybody's heard of a beta product,
Yeah.
right? But there was an alpha product before the beta one, right? And most people don't know that. They just think, oh, it was beta. No, there was an alpha product that was terrible. And then the beta one is the one that they decided to start showing people. And then they go, alpha, beta, delta, gamma, whatever, right? But you end up with companies like mine, we're always in eternal beta. And we call it continuous iteration. We just released a new version today. Every week we put out a new version that you all may not even notice, but we're constantly changing things. I think we've gone through 28 different versions of our homepage this year. And we changed it again Monday. And we're going to change it again next Monday. But our improvements keep going. Does that make sense? So the one thing that and we'll talk about that today and I'll show you. One of the things that we figured out is you can't be in love with your own ideas. You got to love what the data says. There was a version of the homepage I thought was killer, right? We put it up there. It was a dud. Did it look good? It looked amazing. Did it convert well? Nope. It wasn't a good version. Now, did Maria do a great job of designing it and making it look? Heck yeah. I mean, Maria's world class, right? The ideas that I had in my mind showed up on that page. When customers saw it, they clicked off. I said, well, that ain't what we want, right? So we've iterated along the way, and it's a continual process. And I'll walk you all through some of that because I think it's some of the things that we get in love with what we're doing. But if we're not testing it against real world people, then it won't matter. Let's see, who we got? Anybody new in here that I missed? No, everybody in here has been in before, so it's good. But any questions about what we've talked about yesterday? And what we've been on the last few weeks is how do we define our customers? Because if you don't clearly know who you're talking to, you're probably going on the wrong podcast. You're probably pitching the wrong associations. You're probably pitching the wrong conferences because they don't have your people in the audience. But you don't know who your people are. You say, I can talk to anybody. Well, you can, but you may not be able to speak directly to everybody, if that makes sense. So I know if I go on an entrepreneurship podcast, if I go on a startup podcast, a speaking podcast, or an expat podcast, I'm going to knock it out of the park. Why? Because I'm an entrepreneur that has a startup about speaking and I live outside of the country. That's me. I'm talking to me first. You can argue with somebody else. You can't argue with me about me. Does that make sense? So I'm going to go on those podcasts that have me in the audience. Does that make sense? So that's why I was spending that time on yesterday with talking about how we have to, the better we know ourselves and the more comfortable we are with ourselves, the more impactful we are when we talk to others, because the first people that are attracted to us are people who are similar to us. One of the conversations we had with our team this morning was about how do you answer questions? When somebody asks you something, how do you respond? And if you go around in a bunch of circles, yep, you're going to attract a bunch of people who go around in a bunch of circles in their answers. If you're very direct and strict, guess what? You're going to attract people who are, and I'm sure Greg and everyone else who's ever been in leadership, Greg's coaches who were straight up with the media, their players were straight up with them. If the coach was BSing with the media, asked them questions, they probably accepted BS from their leadership team and their assistant coaches and their players and excuses and things of that sort. So it's not just in how you answer questions, it's in everything that you do. That same level of detail in defining who you want to work with, it comes across, and people, it makes it easier for me to point them out. I know that Camille wants to work with this person that does this thing in this area who solves this problem. I can point that person out. Would I refer Camille to everybody I know? Because she says, well, I can help anybody. I ain't going to refer you to nobody because I don't believe that. I don't believe you can help everybody. Does that make sense? So one of the most common things is I help leaders. That is terrible. You help leaders of what? I help leaders of tech companies that have raised at least $2 million. do you see what I mean? Do you see how more specific that is? I help leaders of Fortune 500 companies. Totally different than a tech company that's raised $2 million. One person is anti-corporate. The other person, if they're a corporate leader, they got a lot of structure, a lot of discipline, a lot of accolades. Two different worlds. You're going to have to lead them two different ways. These people may not want to listen to you, but this person over here admires that you were the CFO of Lipton. They gonna listen. I go in and I talk about, hey, when I was in middle school, I played football. And I'm gonna go talk to some athletic directors at a college about that. Okay, yeah, Greg getting that job. Greg getting that job without a question, right? AJ would even get the job. Why? Because he played D1. He didn't play professional, but he played D1. He's more qualified than I am. Talking about my my middle school days when I was 12. But that's how some people who are teaching leadership, they're trying to compete with folks that got pro experience, but they got amateur experience. Now, does that help? Yeah, I can go coach a group of 7-year-olds, but I can't go talk to Alabama. They don't want to hear what I got to say. But they might listen to me about NIL money, how the players should be invested, because I got a financial advisory background. I was a professional over there. but I was an amateur in football. So I can't go in with acting like I know football. I don't. I know money. Is this making sense? So the more you know yourself, the better off you are as you go forward. So let's get into that a little bit. I want to bring up some examples to kind of talk about this a bit. John, let's use you. Well, John just took a phone call on a fake battery. That ain't even a phone. He don't want to. He got a battery pack he just put up to his head to make it look like a phone. No, I'm just kidding. So let's use Camille. Camille's the next person in my window here. So Camille, who is Camille Batiste?
Camille Batiste is a former corporate executive that is now working with aspiring leaders to excel in their careers.
Okay. Do you consider a preschool teacher a leader?
Yes.
Okay. So is that who you work with? You see how we just talked about it? And the default was to go back to generic leaders.
Yeah.
Who are the leaders?
Entrepreneurs and corporate leaders.
Okay. Entrepreneurs that are bootstrapped or funded.
Both.
Okay. That's gonna be hard. Okay, and what revenue level?
$1 million or more.
Okay, right. Now, the reason why I say that's gonna be hard is because I know the bootstrap guy
Mm-hmm.
is different than the person who raised money.
Yeah.
And we don't think about money the same way because we're using our own money versus our investors' money.
That's a good
So
point.
we lead and we hire totally differently. I hire based on who I need. They hire because they got to spend the money or they're not going to get their next round. So you see how like these little details in
Yeah.
understanding the person,
I
right?
don't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but who is Camille? Because I think the
Yeah,
more you
Camilla's
can define.
Jamaican. Is that you're talking about like the broad
Well, let me give you a great example. Have you ever bootstrapped a company to
yes.
$1 million in revenue?
No.
Okay, so don't talk to those people at the beginning
Mhm. I got you.
because they're gonna hit you with what I just hit you with, and you're gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
I don't know.
dead. You're
So for me,
dead."
my world is corporate people, like people who've worked in very large corporations who understand how they work and how they make decisions.
Okay, and how can you help that group?
Well, the two sides, I can help leaders in getting to the next level. We talked about that last time. So when you aspire to be vice presidents, understanding what it takes to be perceived as a vice president, so that's the individual. And why is the other thing escaping me? I don't know.
But let's just stay there.
Put
Let's
that-
just stay on
put
that
that.
one. Let's just stay on that one, right? And what was you said you worked at a Fortune 50 company, correct? Okay, and were you in C-level management or below, or which one? I don't know.
Level.
Okay, right. So that means that you got a huge, you know how many people wanted your job,
Yeah.
right? Which means that you have the executive presence, you have the reputation, you have the history to work with anybody who wants to be a Fortune 50 or
Yeah.
even Fortune 500
Mhm.
executive, right?
Yeah.
So going after them, what are the advantages that they have? Number one, they're taught to respect people with more experience. So you don't have to convince them. Your titles and your reputation is already there. David Price said something to me that I thought was incredible. He was the CEO of BF Goodrich. And what he told me was this. He said, "Ron, I could never do what you do. You're better at starting things from scratch. You're better at bootstrapping things. I come from this executive world where we had billions of dollars to test and all of these things. And I didn't have to do it. I could command people to do it,
Yes.
right? I could demand that this person does this thing and it will get done, right? And they would go tell their people to execute my vision. That's totally different than a bootstrapper. Do you see what I mean? But what does that person have? They want to learn that type of executive leadership and delegation. But the person with a team of 5 people, who he delegating to? His virtual assistant? He ain't got nobody to delegate to. So you would be squandering your skills,
Yeah.
talking to the wrong people because you feel like they aspire to be you. They don't ever want to be you. If they did, they wouldn't have started a business.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being real with you.
I know
If they
it's-
wanted to be a corporate exec, they would have stayed in corporate.
Mhm.
But the advantages that you have in talking to that group of executives who are maybe in smaller companies, they may not be doing billions of dollars, but they may be doing tens of millions or hundreds of millions, and they can get to that next level, is that they already respect what you've done.
Yeah.
Like Melanie Hobson, right? Melanie Hobson started at Ariel Capital, and then she went on to be on the executive board of directors for Disney and all these other places. As soon as she walk in the room, people like, yeah, I want to do that. Like just because of her pedigree.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Mhm.
And not only is that the case, but she started with John Rogers at the beginning. So she watched this startup, and then that is so unusual. But there are so many people who aspire to be her. They have the capital. That manager that's making $300,000 can afford to pay you $3,000-$4,000 a month for coaching.
Mhm.
Because if they listen to what you're saying, we're talking about $150,000-$200,000 raise in this larger position. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Thank you.
You don't want to focus on the dude that's saying, man, when I'm giving her, I can be hiring another employee.
Yeah. Yeah. Or for the corporations to hire me to prepare the next generation of leaders to take on these positions.
There it is.
Yeah.
Right? So do you understand how all I did was ask Camille who is she? And we found out who she should be talking to, because she's going to lead people who aspire to be her. Right? There's the old saying, you either got to be the person that the people of your same gender want to be, and the people of the opposite gender want to be with. I know it's a crude way to think about it, but that's how it is. Right? Either they, oh man, I want to be just like Ron. That's maybe what Kevin's saying, right? Somebody else may be saying, no, Ron is the type of dude I would marry. Cool. Either way, they're gonna follow me. I'm just saying. Or this is the type of woman I want to marry. I'm gonna listen to her because she's a great leader. I think we can do great things. Whatever. They either gotta want to be you or be with you. I know other folks don't want to talk about that. They ain't never sold nothing. Because I'm telling you, on the sales floors, we talk about these things. So we call that an attractive character. Does that make sense? That's why we take a bath and we put on certain clothes and we wear certain tie, we get a haircut, and we do all of the things to be more attractive and fit the position. The problem is that you can't show up to a basketball game with the football helmet on. You may have all the stuff on that you need to have on, but try to play basketball with cleats. Number one, they're going to kick you out for messing up their floor. And number two, you're going to be tired as heck in the first quarter because you got 20 pounds worth of equipment on. Does that make sense? So that's the equivalent of a corporate exec. Not saying that you couldn't do it. I'm saying at the beginning, it's just difficult to make that transition to go coach startup people.
Yeah.
Got it? And those folks ain't usually got no money. You want to talk with the folks who got the bread at the beginning, right? Any questions, Camille? Is this helpful?
This is amazing. Yes, thank you. It's going to change even the way even what I post, who I post to, and when I reach out to people, I'm going to be reaching out to a different clientele altogether.
Yeah, right. So can we find those folks easily?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It's already my network.
Yep. It's
I think
already
you
a
showed on
network.
LinkedIn too, like how to I don't have the Sales Navigator, so I need to get that because I think you were able to find them very easily.
Yep. Here in Sales Navigator, here's some of the cool things you can do. You can look based on account, which gives you company revenue. So I can say, I only want to work with people that are doing a minimum of 100 million, right? And maximum in billions.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to, companies that have at least 1,000 employees. Maybe not 10,000, but say that 1,000 to 5,000 range. Maybe that's your sweet spot. And I'm just using this as an example. You open this up and it gives you a bunch of other things. Well, I only want to work with those in the US. And maybe what industry were you in before?
Manufacturing.
Okay. So now I can just go to all the manufacturing folks. And then I can, now that I have that, you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I can see the companies that I may want to target.
Yeah.
But if I wanted to come back and say, well, you know what? I could just look for the individuals. It transfers the individual accolades over 1,000 people, companies, United States in manufacturing. And then I can come in. Let's make sure we got US on here, not right. So I got my geography there. Company, it could be, they don't have to be headquarters in the US, right? But here's the other thing. I can just come in and say, director level, vice president, strategic, senior. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So now I can click on the senior people and it's going to bring up the folks that are there. I may not want anybody in facilities. So I can export those and say facilities, right? And watch, I'm going to put that on there, but I can come over here and click the red button and it's going to take out anybody that says facilities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, notice what he still had, facility, even though, right? But that's part of learning how to do this, right? So now I come in and I exclude that word also. Is this making sense? So you can go in and you can exclude or you can pick. Maybe, did you work in sales, marketing, which department?
Supply chain.
Okay. So there we go. Watch this. Bam. Now I got my people.
Yeah.
You see that? That is sweet.
Mhm.
And then guess what? Let me show you something else. I'll show you one little trick. Go over here and you can put time and position. Right? Now we know that you can have a certain position for too long. And you feel like, man, they ain't promoting me. I've been in the, we know, what is it, 2 to 3 years? Every 2 to 3 years you should be moving. Is that still correct in
Yeah.
corporate?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you find them folks that's been in for 10 years. They upset. They upset. Now we got 900 of them who are like, man, I need to, what should I do? Camille, should I be going to another company? Yes.
Yep.
Is this making sense on why you have to know your customer?
Mhm.
Now, when you go into a room with these guys, you can talk about that pain. You can talk about that struggle. You can talk about how it feels to be looked over. You can talk about how to avoid being looked over. How do you not become a key person in a company where they can't afford to lose you? But they ain't got enough to promote you. so so you got to actually leave, right? But this is what we call ideal customer profile.
Mm-hmm.
You see how we started with these large things and we got down to 994 people, but it was just by me asking questions. Is this fair, guys?
Yeah.
Right?
you.
So Camille, all I did was show Camille herself.
Pretty much.
So let me simplify the exercise from yesterday. Who was I when I was the most frustrated? That's the question.
Mm.
Who was I when I was the most frustrated? And you could add another part of it. Who was I when I was the most frustrated and would have paid for this? I was 3 years into the business. I had just lost this. I was doing this thing. I was frustrated with my job. So I started wanting to figure out how to do children's books. My back was hurting and I was tired of taking all this medicine. Like all of those things. Who were you when you were frustrated and willing to pay for the thing that you're offering? I was overweight, overworked, needed to find a way so I could lose. My doctor told me I was going to be diabetic if I didn't drop 30 pounds. Who was that? Describe that person. Let me tell you how to do it. You can just go find old photos of yourself at your previous jobs. Go look at them old photos. Who was I in that photo? Well, you saw y'all saw Tim and Linda do it again. Go ahead, Linda.
May I speak?
Of course. That's why we called you up.
I actually did my homework, and maybe it's a function of me like going too deep, but you know, you asked us to think about who we are and what, and think back to that time when we made a change that led to
Yep.
whatever. But so I think I was getting hung up on motivation, like trying to find people who had the same motivation as me, which is ridiculous, I've realized, because my big motivation is improving literacy, and a lot of people just want to tell their story. And also the me profile of when I retired and I wanted to publish children's books, I figured out how to do it. But I think that sometimes people, like, how many of us know somebody who said, oh, I always wanted to write a book, not necessarily a children's book, but oh, I always wanted to write a book. I got the greatest story. So many people put it on the shelf and never act on it. But it took me 3 years to dive into the process and figure it out, but I did it. So when I'm thinking about who I can help, you really helped me narrow it down, because I think I need retired people with stories that they really want to tell for whatever their motivation is, legacy, like long time dream, whatever it is, but they need someone to help them over that hump to realize that it's achievable, that they can do it, that it's not beyond them, that they can do all the things required to publish their book, whatever that is. So,
Okay. So I think you hit something right in the head. I like where you went there, because this is the juxtaposition. Camille has what we call a business offer. Her audience is corporations and businesses.
right.
Linda is talking to consumers. They may not, you don't target the business and say, hey, do any of your employees want to write a children's book? No, this is a consumer offer that Linda's dealing with. So those emotions and everything that you're talking about, they're not foreign. You just won't find those people in LinkedIn all the time. So your market is podcast, side hustle podcast, Facebook ads, things of that sort, where you're in front of the consumers that are dealing with their emotions while they're scrolling.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So that way you talk about those things that HR would not let Camille talk about. HR gonna tell Camille, don't you come over here and talk about that. But Facebook says, yes, talk about that, right? Get them engaged in what you're doing and get them to watch a quick video on how you got over that, right? So the way that you approach B2B, if you're selling something to a business, it's gonna be more logic and clearly defined. It won't be a lot of emotions. It is profit driven on the other side. If you're selling B2C, pain relief, writing a children's book, whoever your ideal customer is, if you couldn't call their company and ask for them, you're B2C probably. Does that make sense? But there's some people in the middle. Jadika may be in the middle. Hey, I can talk to you all about a wellness program in the company. So Does it help the consumer side? She has a consumer play also, but she could also go and talk to a company about supplementing their wellness programs or things of that sort.
Ron, that's what came out of our conversation that we had when I narrowed it down, because what I had found specifically, I focus on the consumer, but to get to the consumer, I had to narrow it down to the fact I need to look at practitioners who work with the people that have the problem I want to connect with directly. And so that, like, when we had that conversation, the first thing that came up was looking at behavioral health therapists or counselors. Anybody who's dealing with counseling and that kind of thing are the people that I have defined that I've started looking at. So that way the consumer comes through them and not, like me going out trying to find individual people.
Yep. So what Janika's looking at is a one-to-many strategy where she can talk to one person that opens her up to 35 people in their business, right? So there are only 4 ways to get a customer. Only 4 ways. Somebody teach you some other thing, they're lying to you. It's only 4 ways, right? Inbound, outbound, one-on-one, one-to-many. Ain't no other way to do it. Either you're going to do inbound one-to-one where you run a Facebook ad and one person comes in one-to-one, or inbound one-to-many. I talked to one person and they referred me 35 people. Do you see what I mean? That's inbound one-to-many. And then there's outbound one-to-one. Hey, Camille, do you need this type of coaching? And then there's outbound one-to-many. I'm going to blast it everywhere and I'm going to do a webinar and talk to all of them at the same time. That's all you got. Beyond that, it just depends on who's going to be doing it. Am I going to do it or will an employee do it? Am I going to talk to everybody one-to-one or do the webinars? Or can I take this off and give it to Ange and let Ange do the one-to-many thing that we're doing right now? And she also does some one-to-ones. Do you see what I mean? So it depends on who, but somebody got to do it. And they're going to be doing one of those 4 things. Inbound or outbound, one-to-one or one-to-many. Ain't no other way to do it. And we can even simplify that. I can simplify it even more, but I'll leave it at that because I think that's something that everybody gets. Make sense? So that if you're, don't think that you have to have a business customer. So we just showed you 3 different groups. We showed you Linda, who is primarily 90% of our customers are going to be consumers, just a regular person that you can find them. You actually use LinkedIn and type in retired in the job title and they'll come up, or you can find them in LinkedIn groups, aspiring authors, so forth and so on. So you can do that too. But I'm just saying overall, the emotional things you're talking about, that's a B2C thing. On the other extreme, we got Camille. Camille is she understands the compliance and the HR requirements for large corporations. So she has to be a bit more direct and, not into all this emotional stuff, right? But then in the middle, we got Janika who said, I got to go in with the business mindset. Hopefully they refer me these emotional people that I can sell to with my emotion. So that's the spectrum of selling. But it all comes down to being P2P and understanding the person that you're talking to. Whether they're let's go back to our pages. All of these things always come back up. So if you go to our resources page, right, there's BDA, but we have the customer segmentation, right? Who's the owner? Who makes the decision about this? In Camille's case, the owner of the decision may be the HR person or the person in leadership. The person that's paying for it is the company. It ain't coming out of the HR person's personal income. It's coming out of the company stuff. Who benefits from it? The employees that they put into our coaching program. Does that make sense? So if we use a company like Chief, plays in the same space as Camille. It's women executive leadership. They charge $9,000 a year. The person who makes the decision is the manager at the company. The person who pays for it is the company. The person who benefits from it is the person that's in lower management that goes through the training to try to move up. If you get into a consumer space, Linda, the owner is the person. They paying for it out of their personal checking account, and they gonna take the course. Does that make sense? Janika, the owner who makes the decision to bring you in may be the practitioner. The people who are gonna pay for it may be the individual or the insurance company. The beneficiary is the individual who was referred to you. Do you see how if you don't know these three people, you will talk to the wrong person about the wrong stuff? Someone wanted to help our team with our YouTube. And I said, hey, I think this is great. Talk to the person that's over that. They said, but no, man, I think I can help you. And I said, hey, man, you blowing the sale, my boy. You may want to talk to the person who handles that. I ain't going to be editing no YouTube videos, but I'm willing to pay for it. And I see that we can probably benefit from what you're doing. He says, but let me just show you. I said, no, I think we're going to get off this call. Because I just told you that I was willing to pay for it if this person who owns that responsibility decides that they would use it. He didn't want to hear that, so he lost the call. He lost the sale. And it's one of my friends. I'm like, dude, I don't want that. I'm not going to ever use it. So he was trying to, he had the payer locked up. The payer was like, I got the bread for this. I understood the benefit. The beneficiaries were you guys. But he didn't want to talk to the person who owned the decision. But you know what he was used to talking to? Individual consultants, not people with employees. He was used to talking to the person that, well, he paying for it, so he the decision maker. No, he was miseducated. Camille's been through it. I know, because I used to be a manager and people would pitch me stuff. And I'm like, dude, you need to talk to Joe. Joe makes that decision. If he approve it, I'll pay for it, but Joe makes that decision. But nah, man, can you talk to Joe for me? No, because I don't get your commission. You talk to Joe. I'm not getting your commission for closing the deal. You talk to him. This is super important, whether you're booking a speaking gig or selling a product, because a speaking gig is you selling a product yourself, right? But this, if you don't know these three people, you are in trouble. If you need any of these resources, you go to speakerhub.com/resources and you get to this page. Or speakercoworking.com/resources, right? Has this been helpful? All right, Jasmine, what's up?
Hey, nothing much. Just an addition here, and I ended up I had to jump off the call yesterday because I had a podcast interview, and subsequent an appointment for the podcast is set up. But that interview came from, and I'm talking in the vein of, you might, your specialty, which is mine, is helping HR leaders create and implement health and wellness programs in workplace holistically, right? So I go to that vein, but guess the referral I had yesterday was from another podcaster that referred me. I did not know her. I did not approach her, but someone says, you need to speak. And this person is a business owner who says, yeah, you might be pitching HR leaders, to go on a health and wellness program. And we're missing the big picture here, because us as corporate execs, we think we are exempt from that, and we should be included in what you're doing to say, hit the big guys. The big guys have to be healthy. So that's a podcast I'm doing next week. So that's a total referral that I did not pitch myself. I got another referral last week because I commented on something Richard Branson says, and his Virgin line. I just love the way he treats employees. And I mean, these people get free lunches, they get unlimited vacation, they get all that stuff. So I made a comment that it says, people are not just a payroll number. And I made a comment on that. And somebody picked up from that comment and reached out to me on LinkedIn based on that comment. So it's good to look at thought leaders as well and put yourself, because they have a whole range of people that follows them. And if
Yep.
you want to be in that higher echelons of being, you know, getting that bigger paycheck, being highly recognized, you sometimes have to spend a little bit of your days, you know, reaching to see what they're saying
100%.
and go on that.
I think that that's really important. And I want to kind of cover this for a second here. The example that I used about the video person that was trying to sell the video, he didn't understand his customer, right? His customer is, if he wants to sell to people that are going to make that decision, sell to them. But you got to, when you're talking to a person that fits a different customer profile, you have to talk to that profile, right? So I know who comes over to Speaker Hub. We only got two. It's two groups of people. The people who want to get paid up front and the people who want to use speaking to sell. Right? Now, I got to talk to both people at the same time. Right? Without pooping on one or the other. Which one am I? I'm this dude. I want to speak to sell. But I don't want to make the people who want to get paid to speak feel like they are not welcome at Speaker Hub. So sometimes you have to use ingenuity, I guess that's the word you would use, and you have to create something that works in both worlds. So we created the Botham speaker. You don't have to just get paid to speak up front, and you don't have to just sell on the backside. You can do both of them, right? And the principles that we teach work for both groups. More money is made in the middle using a hybrid versus either or, because the people who are entrepreneurs looking to speak, they're leaving upfront money on the table. And the people who are traditional speakers that don't want to sell anything, they're leaving back end money on the table. So all of my examples, the Stephen Coveys, the Simon Sinek's, the Ron Stories, the whomever, is always focused on people that are doing both. You don't have to choose both, but there's some advantages to doing both. Understanding who you're speaking to and being respectful to their experiences is super duper duper important. But you also have to be willing to segment them at times, put them in different communities so that I can talk on the beginning level and the advanced level without making the other person, man, they was talking over my head, right? Because you're going to lose those folks.
Yeah. Do you see how easily it was for me to say who I am? That's based on how you push into the craft who we are. I mean, it rolled off my tongue very easily.
100%. And
so when in the
it just
interview
takes practice.
yesterday, I didn't hesitate. I came out and said exactly who I am, just as I rolled it off your tongue to me, and then bang, we want to talk to you. So
100%.
to you, Ron.
No, I appreciate it, Jasmine. The thing about it is that most of this stuff isn't hard. It's just not habit. It's not hard. It's just not habit. My daughter has a saying that she picked up from the nanny because I got tired of her saying, "Oh, I can't do it." And I'm like, "Nope, we ain't gonna start that one." So she says, "Difícil pero fácil," which is hard but easy, right? Now, I don't think that makes a lot of sense in English. So we've had to modify that a bit. Now, we're going to keep the same principles, but we have a new iteration of it that is complicated but easy. So now she says, complicado pero fácil. It's complicated, but it's easy. I don't mind that iteration of it, right? And then down the road, we'll probably change it again. But I got to start with something that changes how she thinks about it. Because it's hard, but it's just hard because it's not habit. How do you build those habits of always describing how you help people and how you do things? If we don't make more offers to people and start talking about it more, we don't get in the habit of describing what we do and who we can help the most. mainly because we don't know what we do all the time and who we help the most. But the person that knows what you do and who you've helped the most has been you. So let's just go back to that. Who was Jadika when Jadika needed herself the most? Who was Camille when Camille needed what she had, what she offers today, the solution that she's discovered? Who was she when she needed that the most? Help that person. Got it? Is this helpful? This been helpful today, guys? We're going to hit this really hard
Absolutely.
because this is the thing. When people are searching for your courses and your products on Speaker Hub, they're going to see a bunch of people just putting in generic, I help leaders. Right? Somebody say, oh, I help men to start businesses. Cool. But you'll have me if you said, I help Black men from inner cities who grew up in single family households, who was never given anything in their life and don't know how to raise money. I help them to bootstrap businesses. How? Right? Like, I'm in on that one. Look, Linda even want to do that.
Yes, sir. Do we have homework for tomorrow? I'd like to make that a habit.
Yeah, let's do it, right? So
Yeah,
here's
what's our
the
homework?
I got the homework right here.
All right.
Go into LinkedIn, right? And you don't need Sales Navigator. So let me remove that excuse. Because I know some people gonna say, well, I ain't got Sales Navigator. You don't need Sales Navigator. Go into LinkedIn. If you have a B2B offer, something that you can sell to a business, you can go into LinkedIn and you can type in supply chain, right? That was the thing. Wasn't that right, Camille? So I can type in supply chain, right? So there's a couple things I can do on here. The first thing is I can click on people and I can find people that are in supply chain. It doesn't give me a lot to deal with here, but I can click on filters. And what this does is that it opens up a generic version of Sales Navigator. Most people ain't never clicked on that to even be able to see those filters. Does that make sense? So I can go in and say, well, what industry or what category? Manufacturing. You notice this is the free thing. What location? I'll put United States. All the same things I put over the Sales Navigator. You see that? Well, do we have like a executive level? Right? So, nope, they don't have that in there. But I can at least say, well, I want to look at my first connections that work in manufacturing in the United States. And when I click show results, it brings up all of my people that I'm already connected with. Now I can go to them and ask them about different things. Let's start here. These people are more willing to give me a conversation and give me some feedback on the product and if it's even relevant. Does that make sense? So the first thing is learn how to use Sales Navigator. That would be my initial homework, right? If you want to do the advanced thing, reach out to those people. I'll give you the basic copy for that too. All right. So let me go back because, again, I'm living what I told you, right? So I'm just going to show you my old emails. You see, I didn't have any issue reaching out to people, telling them about my search engine, right? Hey, love your feedback on the project I'm working on. In this case, these were people that were in the group. You can say, hey, I know we've been a connection. We probably haven't talked in a while, but I love your feedback on a project I'm working on for manufacturing executives. Does that make sense? I'm still in the early stages. Just want to get some feedback and talk to you about it. Can you give me 10 minutes? There's my false time constraint. It's exactly the same email that I showed earlier. Tell them where I got the information from. Tell them what I want. tell them the benefit to them, ask for the thing. What do you say? Yeah, I would love to hear about it. Right? So this one, I ended up missing it. And I said, dude, my bad. I didn't mean to waste your time. I couldn't say I was there. He wasn't there. I missed it. But I told him, hey, look, I got the email. I was looking for our meeting. Somehow it didn't end up on the calendar. My team would tell you, I don't do the missed meeting thing. I'm there. Right? No, he didn't want to talk after that. I'm okay with that. That was my fault. I blew the opportunity. But guess what? I kept sending more emails. I don't care. Dude, that's one lost. I got a bunch of other ones though. Does that make sense? So reach out, use your basic thing. This is how you find customers. Cost you nothing. You know what you do? Let's say it's a coaching program where you don't have a search engine to show. What do you think we're going to do on that call, AJ? Jadika, what do you think I'm going to do on that call?
On a call for the coaching program, find a way to give them some value.
A survey.
Survey. Gotcha.
Do my survey. Hey, I'm trying to learn more about manufacturing executives and what they're aspiring to do. I'm doing a survey for 200 people over the next month. I'll share the details with you. Can you give me 10 minutes to do it? You remember that? No, I had a product that I could show. You can't demonstrate your coaching, so you got a survey to demonstrate your coaching. Does this make sense? This is why I was hesitant to send out the leads to a lot of people, because they were giving me 85 categories. I'm like, you ain't selling none of these folks. Because you're telling me you can sell 5 different personalities and you don't have no customers. So I was like, hey, oh man, I asked you for the leads. I never got them. I'm like, dude, you was going to waste them. Because when I talked to them, they would have all of these emotional things of why they wanted the leads, but they didn't really know how they could help them. Is this fair? So this is the, go ahead, Bonnie.
Just wondering about the combination on surveys. I'm rewriting the survey for a couple different directions right now, kind of going back to it. But like when you had in LinkedIn, Facebook, asking people, what is it you do? And this is what I do. Wouldn't that be an appropriate place to add a question about whether they might be willing to allow you to survey them about what they do? Or does that really need to come from direct referrals like we've done before?
Right. So the what do we do and, what do you do? That was what I call an engagement post, right? I wanted to see if people were willing to talk about it. And then I could fit what I do into that if I wanted to reach out to them to say, hey, have you ever thought about getting on a podcast to discuss this? That was the purpose of that post 2 weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Can you use that for surveying? Yep. But what's the problem with using that for surveys? It's dependent.
They don't know you.
Yeah, it's passive, right? What I just showed you is proactive. I can look at my first connections and reach out to them. I ain't got to wait on them to comment. I'm trying to win, guys.
Yeah, I see you. I see you. Thank you.
Right?
Got it.
Why? Because everybody else waiting. Well, tell me the magic words. No, the magic words is, hey, can I ask you some questions? Man, one of my buddies, he's a doctor. At the time, he wasn't a doctor. And he's a good dude, but he ain't the most charismatic dude, right? Genius, though. Genius level doctor. And he said, man, when I become a doctor, man, the chicks are going to be all over me. I said, no, they not. He was like, what you mean? I said, you going to wear your scrubs everywhere? You going to walk around with that stethoscope or whatever it's called all day? You going to tattoo, I'm a doctor on my forehead? I said, you're a sitting duck, dude. Like, you'd be better off just working on your character. Work on your courage. You ain't got to go get a degree. It's homeless dudes with girlfriends, bro. You know, AJ calls them homosexuals, dudes that live with a girl just so they can have some place to sleep. maybe we need to cut that out, but that's my personality, so you may as well get used to it, right? But AJ calls them homosexuals. I think that's hilarious, right? But that's the idea. A lot of times we're trying to find this magic thing. I'm gonna be a dude. You going to school and gonna get $1 million worth of debt just because to get a chick? You out your stupid mind. You're doing it the wrong way, bro. Right? But that's the mentality sometimes. If I tweak this and I do that, no, just ask them if they want to go out. Ask them if they want to do the survey. They're already your friends. They already added you as a connection. I didn't even get into the higher level thing where you could join a group. That's another thing you could do, Linda, is find the groups. So that was the first way, real quick. First way was doing a search and just reaching out to your first level connections. You see that? Here's another thing that requires no rejection that everybody should do. Go and look for, you see it says supply chain, click on groups. This supply chain management group got 1 million people in it. This one got 800,000 in it. Camille, if you ain't in these groups, you tripping. 200,000, 180,000, 185,000. I mean, if you ain't in these supply chain groups, now LinkedIn has changed. LinkedIn used to let you search inside of the groups that you weren't a part of. But now, if you join the group, you can search for the people that are in the group. Did you see my email say, I saw we were in the same group? Yeah, because this is what I did. I came over here and I went down to groups and I put in speaker. And it's going to bring up all the groups I'm in. You see that? They got speaker in it. I'm in a lot of them. I'm going speaker match group. Boom. Right? They got 11,000 people in their group. Cool. Well, which speakers do we help the most? The ones that say that they are founders. Let me just put that as their regular current job title. Boom. Out of that group, 2,000 of them came up. Make sense? But then I want to work with the people that also have an employee. I don't want them self-employed ones. I want these. Does that make sense? Now, what do I know about them? They in the speaker match group, which is our competitor. Brian can't think of Kaplowitz over at Speaker Match. Right? And now I can go talk to the people that are in the group. But guess what? You can do the same thing to our group. But even if I don't jump in the group, say, hey, well, I saw you in the Speaker Match group. We're in the same group. Are you still looking for speaking gigs? I may have an opportunity for you. Or I may have 45,000 opportunities for them. You see how easy that is? I found 1,000 people in my target audience. Maybe I only want the ones that are in the United States. Again, I can go in. I've mastered this LinkedIn thing, right? AJ, I'll tell you, I am proud. I don't spend no money on ads. I'm going to DM the hell out of folks or send them emails. Is this fair? Is this something that everybody can do? Question, go ahead.
Ron, my question is, when you're sending the emails, do you send emails outside of LinkedIn or you do the messaging in email?
So I think at the beginning, it's easier to do it inside of LinkedIn.
Okay.
Why? Because LinkedIn is going to send them an email also. Jadika said something to you, right? Now, if you were on the Pro Speaker Summit, I talked about doing the videos. Why? Because how many of y'all ever got a video message on LinkedIn? Not many people. Some people have, right? You get a video message, you like, who the heck sent me a video? I didn't even know they had video. And you open that one because you're just curious who made you a video. Does that make sense? So I don't think that there's one, the best method is the method you can stick to. Right? Now, why do I think video or audio on LinkedIn works better? Because it's hard to automate that, and people get so many automated messages all the time that are not relevant. When people, they send me a thing and it says, hey, you know, do you want to invest in our real estate fund? Nothing on my website says anything about real estate. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not really big on real estate at this point in my career. I did it in the past, didn't do very well at it, said, let me focus on the things that I'm good at. But they send me stuff, real estate, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, get up out of here. You definitely didn't read my profile at all. Does that make sense? So that video message adds that personalization. And that could be the difference between sending 100 messages and getting nobody responding, and sending 100 messages and getting at least 50 of them to reply just because you took the time to make a video. Let me ask you a question. Janika, can you handle 2,000 customers tomorrow?
I don't think so. Not right now.
Okay. Camille, can you handle 2,000 customers tomorrow?
I'll make it work. Yeah.
Okay. So you can do 2,000 coaching clients tomorrow. If I
Not
sent you
coaching. I'll have a program and a platform that they'll have some online.
right? So that's a good answer. And here's why I asked that. Because most of us don't have the infrastructure in place to handle thousands of people. Right? So, but we try to do things and that are scalable. Like, dude, you're just trying to reach out to 10 people. Reach out to them 10 folks. Get them 10 people via LinkedIn. Don't go say, I got to set up this software to do this. You already got LinkedIn. Get them 18 customers you need, Janika, and move on with your life. Well, I told I was need this software. And you don't need none of that. Just talk to people. All you doing is trying to be my boy, getting a doctorate degree. I need that cologne. If I get that black suede from Avon, look, all my Avon people, they know about that black suede and Brute and whatever else people, Old Spice, Brute
Hi,
32.
karate.
Yeah, there it is. That's Kevin's favorite. But do you see what I mean? We think that there's these magic things. Are those things, do they enhance? Yeah, but it don't matter what cologne you got on if you're standing it on the wall, right? We used to always, I wish Curtis was here, because we go to all the guys, in college, you get dressed up, you put on your best clothes to go to the parties, right? And then these old goofy Omegas come in with they half-cut t-shirts and some old dirty fatigues and some boots, and they got all the chicks. They look like they took a bath for 3 weeks and they doing all the, and you like, and they walk out with all the chicks. But we think it was my outfit. She ain't care about no outfit, bro. Right? She ain't give a daggone. But are you getting the point that somebody is the exception to the rule? Why not it be you? Those Omegas, they ain't need a bath. They sweated up the whole time, hopping around the room all day. Went over there stinking. They still walked out with her because somebody likes stinky dudes. There's always an exception to the rule. Moral of the story is don't overcomplicate it. A lot of times we're trying to do things that are super duper scalable when we got a little bitty business that we would just be happy getting $5,000 to $10,000 a month out of, but we're trying to implement $1 million system. You gotta grow. Does that make sense? At Speaker Up, we went from me and Santiago to me, Santiago, and Rakesh. Me, Santiago, Rakesh, and Hiram. Then I got Santiago left, got rid of the part-time people, brought in Ezekiel. It was me and Ezekiel again. And then it was me, Ezekiel, and Kamanzi. And then it was me, Ezekiel, Kamanzi, and Angela's 4 girls. Right? And then we went from that to we hired Maria and all the other people that are on our team. Right? But for 4 years, it was me and Santiago. I didn't just say, we got 1 customer. I need 19 employees tomorrow. That's stupid. Does that make sense? So I don't want to beat the horse too much. As I got to change that. Bonnie said, "Don't say that." I don't want to belabor the point too much, but do what's effective right now to get a result, and then improve on that. So, Jadika, do you send them an email? We just saw how to do it on LinkedIn. Well, I put another roadblock in the middle. Is that cool? Was that enough homework, Linda? All right, let me see. Ange quit. She didn't quit. She had another meeting. So I got to go read these comments. Is there anything that was in the comments that I didn't cover? Because I'm not going to read these comments. Anything in the chat that you wanted covered that wasn't covered? Was this helpful?
Can I throw in a
Cool.
win? Okay, can I throw in a win at the end
Oh,
here?
go ahead. Yeah, let's talk about it.
I'm super psyched. Finally, my book went up on Audible just this minute.
Cool. What's the name of it?
Cracking the Crazy Maker's Code. 9 simple
Uh-oh.
steps to ease your anxiety.
Let me see if I can find it on here. Oh, there it is.
Yay, yippee doodles.
There
Finally.
it is. Here, let's do it. Let me see if I
Oh,
can buy
excited.
this without it costing me $18 million.
Oh, come on, man.
There we go. I don't want these just yet. I just want that one.
Thanks. And I narrated it. I
Oh,
got
that's cool.
permission from the pros to narrate my own book.
Fantastic.
Move that to
Thank
the
you,
wish
guys.
list. Move that to the wish list. Move that to the wish list.
Valencia, I paid somebody who knows how to do that.
Who know how to do what? Move things to the wish list?
She asked me. Maybe she's not talking to me.
All right,
I
let
need
me
to
see.
pay somebody to do mine because I'm
Okay.
not technical that way.
Boom. So Bonnie, I don't know if you got a customer, but I take a lot of pride in buying people's stuff from our group. So there you go. You got a customer now. You
I
just
am
made
grateful.
75 cents because I know
Woo!
Amazon be robbing people.
That's right. That's
No, I'm
right.
just
I'd rather
kidding.
send them out personalized from my office, but I'm glad it's finally done because a lot of people do Audible. So can't
There
not
it
do
is.
that.
No, you did the right thing. You just got a customer. Hey, guess what? If she didn't tell us,
Good.
you know
Ron,
how
just
many
so
other
you
people
know,
may go buy it just to support Bonnie because when they come out with their stuff, they're gonna want Bonnie to buy their stuff. So there you
just so
go.
you know, Ron, just for you, my book is going to be super expensive. It's going to be US, because this not selling nothing in Canadian dollars. You hear me?
Hey, take your shot.
You
Take
still
your
owe me
shot.
some US dollars there.
We'll figure it out when that time comes. You gotta get the book ready first. Dave, what's up, man? Before we close.
Quick question. These always turn into masterminds for me. I just love these sessions. I wish I could make more of them. Is there a replay available for these someplace? Are they stored someplace, and where do I find it?
Yep. So the replays are always available on YouTube, on our YouTube channel,
Okay.
which is Speaker Hub YouTube. But you can also just go to Speaker Co-working. On Speaker Co-working, we always have the replays right there.
Oh,
You can see the
perfect.
one from Friday is up. I
Yep.
think Raymar is working on Monday and Tuesdays, and they should be up later today.
Okay.
But,
Excellent.
yeah, they're always up. They're always on our Speaker Hub channel, and that's where they are for now. Eventually they'll move, but they're all here. You can see all 184
Wow. Okay. Love it.
from going all the way back. We do this every day, Monday through Friday, since I think the first one was October something, October 28th or whatever was the first one.
Thank you,
Got
sir.
it?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Any other questions before we hop off? This was good. Hopefully, Camille, you didn't mind me picking on you for a minute, but it was great to show the business side, to show the personal side with Linda, and then show the person that's kind of in the middle with Jadika. The better you know yourself, the better you'll be able to help your customer. Go forward, be great, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
All right,
Bye-bye.
everyone.